Welcome back to the Radio Academy podcast. I'm your host, Georgie Jameson, and this week we are back to full episodes after the summer. And my guest is CEO and founder of Fix Radio, Louis Timpany. Fix Radio is the UK's national digital radio station for tradespeople, which offers trade news, discussions and music. I wanted to know more about the Fix story, so I started by asking Louis how he first got the idea for the station.
I studied business at Leeds University, and I always had an aspiration at some point to run my own business. But like many people, it was, well, what's the idea? And I didn't have one. And so I was applying for jobs in finance. I saw people making lots of money in finance. I thought that sounds quite good. And so while I was applying for jobs in finance, I ended up working on building sites nearby my house, just earning some cash, filling my time. And then having worked on 5 different building sites, I quickly realised what a massive part of a tradesperson's life the radio makes up. Like, these guys and girls listen in the van on the way to work. The first thing they do is put out their Makita site radio on the corner of the site. They listen all day long, and then on the way home again. And I was very intrigued by this. And I remember one particular day coming onto site and 2 guys had each other by the neck, by the throat, and they were fighting over what station was going to get played for that day. And I thought, this is ridiculous. We need to put an end to these arguments. And I was very intrigued that there wasn't a radio station specifically aimed at this community, given their evident love of radio. And so once I got the idea, I then spent the rest of my time on sites just grilling them as to, like, right, guys, if we were to start from scratch with a radio station aimed at you, what music do you want? What sort of presenters? What do you hate about existing stations? And that helped formed my initial vision, I guess, for Fix Radio. And that's how it all came about.
So you were right there doing market research.
That's it, on the ground.
On the ground.
And you can spend hundreds of thousands of pounds on this, but I think it's just as good in the pub over a pint, chatting to a few of your target market and having a relaxed chat around things.
So what did they tell you then? What did tradespeople want from their radio?
I think the number one bugbear was the level of music repetition. I don't possess to be an expert on the programming side of radio, but what I learned in the early days of this is that most stations are programmed for a consumer that might be listening on average 45 minutes or an hour a day. And so they look to try and get that hour as strong as they can, and then there'll be lots of repetition throughout the day. Whereas we're dealing with an audience that are listening for 5-6 hours a day. So it was after a completely different user experience. And so music repetition was massive. Unrelatable presenters and unrelatable content, things that, the trade didn't necessarily care about. It didn't speak to them. A lot of advertising, again, products that just weren't relevant to them, and therefore it was just a nuisance throughout the day. The structure of the day, the trade tend to start their day very early. They're up and at it, 5:30, 6 a.m. Sometimes breakfast shows started too late and they wanted something to start a bit earlier. So that's some of the things that I were picking up when I was on site and chatting to them.
And then how did you go about getting this started then, in terms of finding a team, finding presenters, finding the finance? Once you got all that market research, how did you get it going?
Well, I think that the hardest bit is actually just starting. And what I mean by that is that all of us have ideas. And actually going from an idea to executing and bringing it to life is a whole nother ballgame. And so I do like to honour my father, my old man, because when I came back, as I was 23 at the time, and I had this idea, and I think many fathers would have said, go get a proper job for a bit and a bit of experience, and at some point maybe revisit this. But he was like, no, I think it's a great idea, you should do it, and gave me that initial encouragement to pursue it. I was really grateful for that, because I don't think I'd be here without that little push at the start. But in terms of the next step, so I was blessed to meet a programming consultant who is sadly no longer with us, a guy called Paul Chandler, who was able to open some doors, was able to give me some belief in this. And also he was stronger on the programming side in terms of what was required from that perspective. I had good instinct from on the commercial side of how we would deliver this, but he was strong on the programming side. I think the biggest thing, so we needed to raise some finance, and you put together an investment deck and you start speaking to people, and really all we had was my personal experience on sites as to validating this, and so we needed to strengthen that. I had about £10,000 that I'd saved up throughout uni. I used that to invest in some market research of UK tradespeople, and really what I was trying to do is try and see whether my findings of what the pain points were with other radio stations were across the rest of the marketplace, whether it married up with that. And also, as part of the research, we sort of painted a vision for what Fix would be, and we'd ask the question, would you like a radio station aimed at you? Would you listen to this? And it came back really conclusive that my findings were accurate across the marketplace, and there seemed to be a lot of demand. And so we used that information to put into an investment deck that allowed us then to raise some finance. And then it was a case of starting to build a small team, start working on the product and getting the thing ready to go to market. I felt like I needed credibility in order to properly attract advertisers. I felt like a digital-only station wasn't quite enough to unlock revenues, and therefore the strategy was to go on to London, on the London DAB multiplex. That's the largest marketplace in the country in terms of tradespeople, and so it was a good starting point. And then ultimately we wanted to end up as a national station, which is what we've done, but we spent about 5 years as a London-only station.
The station has grown massively since it started. Like you say, you were just in the London area, but it was important to be on DAB. When did you take the decision, we're ready to go national now?
In hindsight, and I've only been in this industry for about 10 years, but I've seen other brands try and make this jump to nationwide. And what I think we did well at Fix is we were very patient. So we spent 5 years as a London-only brand. And what that allowed us to do is build up, we've had 50 or 60 advertisers consistently spending with us. And so we had that base level of revenue, and we were also able to learn on a smaller stage. So it does take a while to get your product right, to understand what are the marketing strategies that are going to work to grow the audience reach and to attract good people to join your company. We spent about 5 years in what I would call this learning phase in terms of trying to grow revenues, improve the product, grow listenership. The reality is it wasn't within our control as to when we expanded nationwide, because there was only a finite number of licenses and there wasn't availability, but an opportunity arose, and we thought, this only comes around once in every, 10 years so far. And so we felt like we had to take that jump. Thankfully, it's played out really nicely for us, and I'm so pleased that we did, because it completely changed the business when we went nationwide. It was significant change.
What was that change then? What was so significant then? What happened?
Well, what we did was we overcame 2 massive objections to brands buying with us. So objection number 1 was, really interesting that you've got a radio station for tradespeople. The challenge for us is that we're a national brand and you've only got tradespeople in London, and it doesn't really match up with our marketing strategy. So we smashed through that objection that now we could serve up an audience of tradespeople across the country. And then the second objection was that we were only working for the first 5 years off our own internal audience measurement. So it was our internal estimations. And what we did is when we went nationwide, we contracted with Nielsen, and they've got one of the largest panels of UK tradespeople, and they provided us externally audited numbers for the reach and the hours. And so overnight, we were able to serve up a national audience, and it was able to be externally verified by a respected third party. It just really, it made us a far more commercially attractive proposition. So our revenues expanded exponentially after that. And then obviously from an audience reach and hours standpoint, you go from addressing just the London market to the entirety of the UK. And so we saw massive scale with our audience growth. So they were the 2 biggest changes.
What I'm getting from this is that I think you spent like those 5 years in London learning, but also growing this brand. And at the ARIAs this year, you did get gold success. You'd had bronzes and silvers before, and it was growing and growing. But this year, you broke through. You got that gold for sonic branding. And I think that's so apt, given the work that you've done over this time to build that brand. Tell me about that award and the Fix brand.
Genuinely, there's a lot of dark times running a business, a lot of things going wrong, and it's challenging at times. But when you have nights like that and you win awards and you're recognized externally for your achievements, it was just such an amazing feeling, particularly for my team that worked so hard on our branding. What I loved about winning the Sonic branding is that I really think that that's a strong USP for us. We're cheeky, we're different, we really have fun with our branding. And so for that particular element of our product to be identified and kind of glorified, that was even more satisfying, because I think it's a big point of difference from us with other brands. Yeah, it was great to get that, and it was a really fun celebration and fun night.
What I love about the Fix guys when we're at the awards is they bring the energy. It was one of the biggest cheers of the night.
I know. They were a bit noisy, weren't they?
No, it was good. It was good. It was a party. It was a celebration. They were having the best time.
Yeah. I think because we're an independent brand and we've only got one brand, it is Fix Radio, you do have a closer affiliation than perhaps working for a larger brand where you work across 5 or 6 different stations. We've got a really kind of passionate team that have seen Fix come from nothing. And so there's a lot of excitement and loyalty towards the brand.
And the fact that I think that you use orange, it's bright, it's a vibrant colour, it's a fun colour. There's nothing low key about your branding at all. You go on your website and the orange and stands out. You immediately feel like this is a fun brand.
You're right. We want to stand out. And so you've got to do things differently, haven't you? If you do the same as what everyone else is doing, then you're not going to stand out.
Just going to blend in, aren't you?
Yeah,
absolutely. Also on that night, Greg James gave the Bull Builders a shout out at the Arias. Let's talk about them as a brand, as your breakfast show, the pivotal show in any station of the day, how you start the day. Why the Bald Builders? Well, I know they are bald, bless them, but, because they weren't radio presenters, were they?
This is it. This is the interesting thing about building a radio station for tradespeople is, unlike any other radio station, let's assume you're wanting to launch a radio station for like ABC One males or like people over the age of 70. What you would do is go, okay, let's look at other radio stations that have presenters that are right for that target market, and let's look to see if they want to come and join our radio station. Well, the challenge we had is that no one's done this before, and so there was no existing talent in the marketplace that were from the trade and construction industry. So what we did is we looked at, okay, well, where are these people? And most of them lived on social media. Like, there's a lot of social media influencers that on a daily basis are having to come up with entertaining and informative content for tradespeople, and they're having experience of being behind a camera and performing in a certain way. And now we know that there's differences between that and radio, but it's a starting point. And so what we were wanting to find is people that we thought would represent the brand well, that lived on social media. We then retrained them in the art of radio, and the Bull Builders were just a perfect fit because they're 2 guys, super funny, super relatable. They've got a very large existing following, into the millions. They had the right character, and we just felt they'd be great for us. And so they joined on just a short 1-hour show initially, and then bit by bit we've grown our relationship with them until the point that now they're on our breakfast show, and they're so entertaining. I get a chance to listen most days, and they keep me laughing, doing a good job for us.
It's about that fun again, isn't it? I mean, they do bring the fun, and they do want to have a laugh in the van and on site, don't they? It's a balance between having a laugh and being entertained and information as well. And with your shows, you do look at some of the serious sides of things. I know you talk about mental health in the trade industry, and you have specific shows. There's the carpentry show, there's one for plasterings, one for plumbers. Was that, again, part of the brand, part of the strategy of wanting to pinpoint not just the building trade, but you go deeper, don't you, into each of the different crafts?
Exactly. We need a distinctive product, and our content themes are entertainment and information. And so the Bull Builders are very much down the entertainment side. But then there's some real issues that are affecting this community. Things like tool theft is rife. You've got mental health challenges. You've got even small things. Well, it's not small, but like the ULEZ and the cost of parking in London. All of these sort of things that are really important to our community. We want to make sure that they're addressed on the radio station, that we give good coverage to it, that they can add their views and opinion. And then, we've got all of these shows where we're sort of covering like tips and hacks and product innovation and all of these sort of things around carpentry, electrical, painting and decorating. We've got to have balance, because just because you're a tradesperson doesn't mean you necessarily want to hear about things directly related to your occupation all day long. It'd be pretty boring, actually. So we try and remember that they're probably wanting to just listen to great music with a bit of banter, and then we add some of this extra colour alongside that, but make sure we don't get too carried away with it.
A couple of the other things that you do which help spread the word, thinking about the street team that you have, and also you got Fix Fest, a whole festival, a music festival.
I know, I'm mad, aren't I?
It's a big leap. I mean, it's a big thing. It's normally Radio 1 Big Weekend or Radio 2 in the Park. It's big stations that do that kind of thing. What made you want to get into that game?
Just before I come on to that, you mentioned the street team.
Yeah.
I remember, I think it was 210 FM had their they had this street team that I just remember growing up, and I'd always see them around, and they gave out stickers that you could put on your car, and it just made a long lasting experience, and it created a really close affiliation with the radio station. I wanted to try and do the same. And so, we've got 3 vans on the road every day that will go and do breakfast mornings at builders merchants and visit, local building sites. And on it, we've consistently done that for like 6 or 7 years. They must have had hundreds of thousands of conversations with tradespeople. And so it's been a great route to market for us and a way of building a relationship with our target market. In terms of Fix Fest, I just felt, we've proven now, I think, that you can have a radio station for tradespeople. And I've seen that there's a sense of tribalism and loyalty from this community. The fact that someone's gone to the extent, a team has gone to an extent to build a radio station for them. And I just have that same instinct with music festival, that why couldn't there be a music festival specifically aimed at tradespeople where people can come and meet in person? Clearly, we've got a head start because we've got existing commercial partners that we can got relationships with, and they've got trust with us that we can sell them opportunities at the festival. And we've got a free route to market to be marketing the event to 700,000 tradespeople a week. So we've got a lot at our disposal. But for me, the day is all about celebrating this community, making them feel proud about being a part of it, and then trying to inspire more people to join the trading construction community. We've got some great food and entertainment, but there's a serious side to the day as well, where we've got trade exhibitor stands where they can wander around and look at all of their favorite tool brands or builders merchants. We've got this area called the Inspiration Zone, where we're trying to inspire the next generation of tradespeople. And so we've got stands representing all of the different trades, and they're run by really passionate and knowledgeable tradespeople that's looking to have as many conversations as they can with youngsters, telling them all about how they got into it and why they love it and why they should join. And then we've got this area called the Powerhouse, which is all about trying to help people with their mental health. So we've got a really good content plan with experts in this area that can be providing useful information and a lot of peer-to-peer stuff. So we'll have interviews with tradespeople that have had to overcome adversity in their lives and sharing how they did that. And so our hope is that we can do some good with this event. We can get more people to join the community, and we can help people that might be suffering on the day. I'm excited about it. It's year 1. You never quite know what's going to happen, but we put a lot of blood, sweat and tears into it. So hopefully it'll be a success.
And what's the future for Fix, Larry?
It's a great question. Yeah, I mean, look, it's more, isn't it? It's more. I'm hungry. I'm ambitious. We reach 1 in 4 UK tradespeople, and as much as that's amazing, it means that 3 out of 4 tradespeople aren't listening to us on a weekly basis. So we think there's a lot more growth in this. For any radio station, there's metrics that you'll look at for growth. So we'll be looking at where we think we can get our audience reach in hours, our revenues and our profits. But what I've thought a lot about at Fix is, if that's your only definition of success, then I think that you're leaving something on the table. What we do at Fix is we're ambitious and we want that success, but we want to try and share the success and see if we can benefit more people along the way if we manage to reach those goals. What we've done is we've set up the Fix Radio Foundation, where we distribute a proportion of our profits into the charity, and then we use that to help those that are less fortunate than us in the community. So we help people when they've had their tools stolen, or we've spoken about mental health. We pay for free counselling sessions for people in need. By setting the business up like that, it means that it's this really cool thing where the more successful we are, the more people we help, and everyone kind of wins. And that's added a lot more meaning and purpose to the brand. That means when people ask me in terms of my definition of success, well, now it's not just how can we benefit things that will just directly benefit myself or the senior team. Actually, we can connect that to a bit further and wider, which we're excited about and adds more meaning and purpose to our day.
A big thank you to Louis from Fix Radio. And you can find out more about Fix and listen online at fixmedia.co.uk. Festival tickets are on sale on our website. The festival's next Wednesday, 17th of September at the Royal College of Physicians in London. And the lineup of guest speakers and hosts is amazing. Check it all out and book your tickets at radioacademy.org. Next week, it's Radio Academy Festival Day, and the podcast focuses on our theme, World of Sound. We have a world exclusive at the festival. Dolby will take over the Dorchester Library at the Royal College of Physicians and transform it into a state-of-the-art immersive audio showcase. I'll be joined on the podcast by Dr. Sian Williams from BBC Radio 3 Unwind about immersive audio and the human brain, and with Kay from Media Art Exploration about the exclusive preview of Sonic Sunset at the festival, an immersive listening experience in Dolby Atmos. I'll see you next week.